It's showtime.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
the absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com.
It would help if I pushed the button on time. It would help if I carried the microphone closer to my face. Hey, this is the pre-party. Ring, ring, ring. Whistles, bells. Yeah, boy. This is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news, information, J-Brones, and hammy sandwiches. And this is the pre-party. And my name is J. Cal. And, well, I enjoy talking NWA. I especially enjoy talking NWA with you. With you, the NWA family. That hashtag NWA family. And guys, I got notes. I've got notes. I have stuff I want to talk about today. Because the NWA is set to start its new season, season 5, episode 30. And it has been a, wow, what a wonderful 72 hours. First off, before we get too much into the show, I do want to say what's up to my pals, my friends, my confidants. I see Tim is in the house. Big Clumsy, what is up? Woodland Goblin is here. I see Jimmy LB is here. Lamb is in the house. Sean Mega's in the house. Doty's in the house. Terry's in the house. Robert Bennett, I haven't seen you here before. Robert, welcome to the show, man. This has been a really fun week for the NWA. If you guys have been following either this is the pro wrestling guys or some of the talent that's been on the NWA Twitter, the past week has been pretty freaking awesome. And I think if you're a fan of the National Wrestling Alliance, now is the time that you're going to get a little bit excited because things are starting to come together. Now, I can't predict the future, guys. I can't tell you for sure what is and what isn't. But I'm seeing some new faces associated with the National Wrestling Alliance that are mostly good. I'm seeing an evolution in some of the talent involved with the NWA. And also, that is mostly good. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of reasons to have high expectations. There's a lot of reasons to feel like maybe this National Wrestling Alliance is going to return to form. So for everyone here in the house, everyone here watching, I mean, this is a good time to be excited. I feel, it's my personal belief, that the NWA is headed for a major comeback. And I say that as someone who was extremely critical of the first season of the NWA. And I've seen a change in at least how they're trying to go about things. And I think you all have a lot to be excited about. So, before we get into all of our conversation today, I just wanted to briefly recap When Our Shadows Fall. Because I really thought that was a pretty good pay-per-view. I really thought that they did a great job of putting out a product that was worth my $19.99. And that's hard for me to say. I'm going to tell you right here, I will swallow my pride and say they proved themselves right. They proved themselves right. They made a show that I cared about. And, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I went into this pay-per-view with very low expectations. And don't get me wrong, this pay-per-view was far from perfect. There were many things about it that just, well, it didn't sit well with me. But for the most part, this was a solid pay-per-view. If you spent your $19.99, you got to see a new Women's World Champion crown. If you spent your $19.99, you got to see new tag teams emerge. You got to see new faces emerge. And you got to see a shift, a paradigm shift, if you will. So let's start with the pre-show. Now, again, this is kind of important too because the NWA put out a show. Well, we're efforting anyways to put out a show ahead of the pay-per-view, a pre-show, something they haven't done before, and it was pretty cool. If you ended up watching it, this pre-show to me was probably better than most episodes of POWERRR in the last season, and quite honestly, maybe one of the better episodes of programming the NWA's put out. We had a pre-show three-way match with Colby Corino, PJ Hawk, and everybody's favorite Johnny Yuma from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, now going by Captain Yuma. And it was a fun little match. Wasn't anything crazy. We didn't see all 148 different moves and 450 splashes. It was a fun little introduction to a pay-per-view. If the NWA had a World Junior Heavyweight division, you could probably say that one of these three men would be apt for it. With Captain Yuma and Colby, PJ Hawk, maybe a Sal Renaro. I mean, you kind of, Matt Cross, let's not leave out Matt Cross. You certainly look like you could have all the makings of a solid junior heavyweight division. The match was fun. It should be noted that Colby Corino is the son of Steve Corino, a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He's a second-generation wrestler. And then you've got PJ Hawk, who obviously is Luke's kid. And they just looked really good as far as I'm concerned. That was a great opener to the pay-per-view, great open for a pre-match. Next up, we have former tag team partners colliding. We have Genocide and Sky Blue. Sky Blue has been pretty dang good in everything I've seen her in. And Genocide has probably become one of my favorite women wrestlers in the NWA. This match was fun. And on the microphone, they kind of alluded to that this match was kind of like a precursor to Serena Deep taking on Camille in terms of size and stature and all of that. I thought it was pretty fun. I really did. I thought that was I thought it was pretty dang good, and I think that would be a lot of fun going forward if the NWA hopefully continues to use them. Then we have the main event of the pre-show, which was a qualifying match. We get Luke Hawk defeating Jeremiah Plunkett to qualify for the TV title. Now, guys, this is all pre-show stuff. This didn't air on the pay-per-view. This is all still free. It's available on YouTube. We also made the links available at alliance-wrestling.com. But Luke Hawk is great. I love the Southern Stomper, and it's fun to see him as a singles wrestler. Let me put over Luke Hawk just a minute because we'll be talking about, well, I guess I'll talk about that later. Luke Hawk, he's been around the block. He's worked for NWA promotions and all three of the last generations, if you will, the Trobich era, the Tharp era, and of course now the Lightning One era. And as a singles competitor, he's probably even better than as a tag team wrestler. And it'll be interesting to see how they go forward with him. But I really feel like him and Pope were going to put on a classic match tonight at the episode 30 of NWA POWERRR. Next up was the start of the pay-per-view. We get that four-way match with La Rebelión Amarilla, or just La Rebelión. I don't know if you guys know this, but these guys aren't really from AAA. If anything, they spent more time working with CMLL than AAA. But you can't find matches where Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf were tag teaming for AAA. They were in the Crash, wrestled a lot in Mexico, but not for AAA. So it was kind of interesting how they kept kind of making it seem like they were more about the AAA than just that they were in Mexico. They defeated the new pairing of Marche Rocket and Slice Boogie. I did not like that pairing. I mean, Slice Boogie has a tag team partner in Mims. Why wasn't Mims in this match? That would be more, at least in line with how this last season went. Then you had the Rudo and Sal Renaro, which again would have liked to have seen Renaro teaming with Tim Storm. Oh, I was just notified. Sean Mega said they just signed to AAA. That makes sense. I guess I didn't know that, but nevertheless, it was. This was a fun tag team match. Also included were the End, Odinson and Paro. You can always get me with those two guys. I really enjoy Paro. I really enjoy Odinson. I would like to see the NWA do a lot more with him and not be fodder for makeshift tag teams. However, we did see La Rebellion win. A great introduction for them. I think I would have rather preferred to see them just go up against the End one-on-one, or even Hawk Ari just one-on-one. I think it would have been a lot better. But the match was fun. I had no complaints about the match. You could tell that they were in the smaller studio this time around because the cameras were literally pushed right up against the ring. And I thought that was kind of funny myself. Next up, the grudge match. Tyrus, who normally you can't get me to say something positive about Tyrus. But Sunday night, Tyrus came with his working boots. That brother went out there and put on the best match I've seen him in ever. And I know that's not saying a whole lot. But he worked, guys. I mean, that cross body, he tried. I saw effort. I was appreciating how good that Tyrus looked in this match. Now, he came away with the victory. I don't really care. It does nothing to help Pope get to the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. It doesn't put Tyrus in an opportunity where now he's going to be able to challenge for a title. If it's supposed to be a blow-off to the feud, good. Let Tyrus go bother somebody else now. Let's put Pope where he needs to be, which is as close to the main event as possible. But not a bad match. It really wasn't. I was pleasantly surprised with how good that match went. Next up, we had the women's tag team match. We had the debut of Kylie Ray teaming with Taryn Terrell, which, again, that's another weird makeshift tag team. Teaming with Melina and Thunder Rosa, which, again, that's also kind of a weird makeshift tag team. Thunder Rosa is by far the best wrestler on the planet. You heard it here first. Probably not, but it's something we say constantly on both the Pre-Party and the Alliance Guys podcast. Thunder Rosa is incredible. So anytime you get to watch her in the ring, she literally puts on a clinic. And the way that she was stretching Kylie Ray and the way that there was give and take there was probably some of the best wrestling you saw in this pay-per-view. Unfortunately, the wheels kind of fell off on this one where Thunder Rosa literally dragged Taryn Terrell out of the ring, which that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I didn't really get where they were going with that. And carried her to the backside, and then you had Melina basically just fodder for Kylie Ray, which was good because Kylie Ray just recently signed with the NWA, and you want to make your new people who are under contract, you're going to want to push them, you're going to want to make them stars. So I did appreciate that. Seeing Kylie Ray, Smiley Kylie, get the win was great. I don't know what's going to happen with her going forward. I think that there's talks that the division is going to grow, and I think Kylie Ray is going to be a big part of that. It should be noted that Kylie Ray was a contracted member of the AEW roster, and then had some mental health issues and took a break from wrestling. She quit. She was let out of her contract. They said it was amicably with Tony Khan. Later, she ended up in Impact and was about to wrestle for the Women's Championship of Impact against Donna, I can never say her name right, Perozzo. I apologize. I'm not a huge Impact guy, so I don't even know how to pronounce her name. But that was supposed to be at Bound for Glory last year. And before, ahead of Bound for Glory, she got on social media. She said, I'm taking a break. I'm no longer a wrestler. And just kind of broke free. So she was technically still under contract with Impact Wrestling, and for the first time in what might be the only time, the NWA and Impact worked together to get her out of the Impact contract and now under an NWA contract. Hopefully with the less demanding schedule, and the 3 or 4 days of taping a month will help Kylie really just kind of focus on just the small aspect of her life and let her focus on her mental health as well, because she's a solid wrestler. I think she's really good in the ring, and as long as she can keep both of those things up, I think she's going to be fine. Going up next, we have JTG, Jay the God, versus Fred Rosser, Mr. No Days Off. We anticipated that this match might steal the show, and I believe it did. JTG, wow, could that guy go? He looked great. He was in probably the best shape he's ever been. Fred Rosser always looks good. This match was solid. No complaints at it at all. This is the kind of match that, I wish there was something bigger on the line here. I wish these guys were fighting for maybe the national title. Maybe these guys are fighting for an opportunity to face the Pope. This was what you want in a mid-card match for your wrestling. Solid storytelling. There was no fake animosity. There was no convoluted storyline. Just solid, good wrestling. And for me, I was all about that. So I felt that was great. Next, you get the tag team match, and I do feel like the NWA just doesn't want to promote tag team wrestling. And Kratos and Stevens have never looked more on the same page, which is cool. Excuse me. But, this was a perfect opportunity to take those belts off of a team who, up until now just didn't seem like they had a plan for. Now it looks like they've got an idea of what they want to do with them. Now it looks like they know where they're going to push this an amalgamation of the assassin and the comedy guy, the jokester and the hitman. It looks like they have some sort of formulaic opinion now, and I don't know. I would have put the belts on the War King since day one. Crimson and Dane are awesome, but I don't know. They won't pull the trigger. Latimer was great in this match. Adonis looked good. Jax Dane looked like the beast. I could watch Jax Dane and Kratos go at it all day, every day. I think a Haas fight would be a hell of a lot of fun. But for what it's worth, it didn't happen. Next up, we got Camille versus Serena Deeb. Women's World Championship match. Now, first, let's just say that Camille's meteoric rise in the National Wrestling Alliance has always been based on this idea that she was a rookie. But that isn't actually true. That's not true. Camille actually trained with the Team 3D Academy. Camille kind of made her name in the Legends Football League, a lingerie female football league. Camille has been the star in the making for some time, but I will admit she's still a little green. That's okay. I don't know that I would put the title on Camille right now. I totally believe she's the future. I totally think she is going to be the next big thing in women's wrestling. I feel like they pulled the trigger too soon. And especially with Serena Deeb and the ability that they've had, at least have had, with the ability of having her come to the NWA and still defend the title on AEW. At the very least, I wish they would have kept that title change maybe for a superpower later down the road. They filmed episodes from what I was told, about 12 weeks of programming, which, if that's the case, a superpower down the road, it would have been very meaningful for Camille to win that title on the regular program. Sure, I know it's meaningful for her to win it at the pay-per-view, but I just feel like you could have gotten a little bit more mileage out of Serena Deeb. She could have helped put over some of the younger talent. She could have been in the ring with somebody like Kylie Ray. She could have been in the ring with somebody like Genocide or Sky Blue or Alexia Graciana if she's still around. I just felt like we knew it was coming. And that's what I hate about some of the booking decisions that the NWA does, is they either go ultra convoluted or straight to the ticket. And like, can't you just give us a mix of both of that? Can't we get both? Can't we get a storyline that's not as convoluted but gets to the point? So I still think it was a really good match. It's not the best Camille match I've ever seen. I'll chalk that up to her versus Thunder Rosa in that 20-minute draw from a few weeks back. It's not the best Serena Deep match I've ever seen. Her versus Rio at All Elite Wrestling's what was it called? The buy-in for the Double or Nothing. I felt like that was a much better match, but it was pretty good, and it might have been the second best match on this card. I really felt like Camille put in the work. She looked good. Deeb looked like, a veteran who just got overpowered. So I really did like this match. I really did. I just wish they would have pulled the trigger a little bit later. And then next up, we have everybody's favorite world's heavyweight champion. Some almost now, 993 days now. Congratulations to Nick Aldis. You retain the title, my friend, my liege, my pal, my buddy. You are still the world's heavyweight champion. And I salute you, sir, for outwardly knowing that you cannot beat Trevor Murdoch in a match to cheating to win. Because that's what a real champion would do. That's what the Nature Boy would have done. That's what Harley Race would have done. Or maybe not. I don't know. I think it was a great way to extend the story. Forgive me for saying this for some of our softer-eared audience, but this is the equivalent of wrestling blue balls, because I really felt like Trevor Murdoch was going to win that title. I really feel like a lot of you thought Trevor Murdoch was going to win that title. I really think the bottom line should be Trevor Murdoch should be NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, but I think the NWA wants to stretch it out a little bit longer. So perhaps maybe the next pay-per-view we can see another Trevor Murdoch versus Nick Aldis. But I mean, how many times do you remember as a kid watching Sting and Ric Flair, right? Or Sting and Lex Luger and Ric Flair? They never gave you that match when you wanted it, and it's a shame, because I felt like now would have been a great time to capitalize on it. But if they just didn't have it, they just didn't have it. But all in all, I was surprised with this pay-per-view. I felt like my 1999 was a good investment. I felt like watching that pay-per-view was great. I enjoyed it. I don't take anything away from the NWA. There was a few things I didn't like, but so what? It was a good pay-per-view. I don't mind Nick Aldis trying to get out of that match that way either. I definitely don't mind. I think that's good storytelling if they continue to build towards Murdoch. Now, if they change gears and now he's wrestling the Pope or wrestling JTG, or it just goes off the wheels, and then I'm going to be upset. I'm going to think, what are we doing here? But if the storyline is still to kind of progress towards the Trevor Murdoch program, but then by all means, I don't believe that anybody, Dusty Rhodes didn't become NWA World's Champion the first time he faced Ric Flair. It was a fight. As Shawn Omega said, Crimson told us he was right. Crimson was right. So, hey guys, thanks for letting me spiel on that. But I want to talk to you guys. I was reading some of your comments, but I wanted to just get through that real quick. I know time is precious, so I just want to see a couple of things that you guys said. I saw that Woodland Goblin isn't a big fan of Kylie Ray. I think she's phenomenal, to be perfectly honest. I think she's great, but to each his own. Robert Bennett brings up Kylie is a solid wrestler. She had some great matches for Freelance and AAW. Woodland Goblin said he did love everything else about the pay-per-view. Woodland Goblin said Kylie probably had a screwed up upbringing and men that used her many times. Oh man, Woodland, come on man, why you gotta bring the darkness? Willie's in the house. What's up, Willie? Trix is here. Am I saying it right? Trixalilix. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for being on Twitch, too. Help those views on Twitch. We need them. Terry McDermott's in the house. He feels that Aaron and Kratos should be called the Miracles. It is a miracle that these dudes are still tag team champions. Now, I like Aaron Stevens, and personally, I really like JR Kratos, too. I don't like this tag team. Now, I saw some elements of the tag team that might work down the road, but man, I don't want to wait that long. You know, I'd rather them just go their separate ways. As the roster feels like it's getting bigger and bigger, you know, there's plenty of tag teams to go around. The End, the War Kings, and now we have, you know, what are they called? La Rebellion. And then you've got, you know, Marche Rocket and whoever they want to put with him, and Slice Boogie and whoever they want to put with. What I'm trying to say is there's plenty of tag teams already. We don't need to keep hanging on to, you know, Kratos and Stevens. And you know, I didn't even get to Strictly Business. I mean, there's still Adonis and Latimer. So I mean, there's still a lot of opportunity. I don't know. They're not bad, but I would like to see more. Woodland Goblin said he was too hard on Camille. Hey man, that's okay. Camille, look, Camille has earned it. No matter what anyone else says about Camille, she's freaking earned it. She's put in the work. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. Camille, look, she looks like a goddess. She's built like a brick house. She wrestles. Her wrestling has improved. That match with Thunder Rosa, she couldn't have had that a year ago. That girl's been putting in some work, and she's looking better and better every time she's out in the ring. Let's see. Lamb says Camille is better than Memphis female wrestlers, and they crown a new champ this Sunday. Just saying. Yeah, I mean, Camille, look, I know this isn't the United Wrestling Network Championship Wrestling from Memphis talk, but they have a severe lack of women wrestlers out there. I know they're bringing Ray's out. Ray's a friend of the show. I hope she goes out there and kicks everyone's butt and becomes a new champion. Trixelic says Camille's going to be a pretty dominant champion. I have to agree with that. It was just my hope that they waited a little bit to put the belt on her. I know she's going to be dominant. She's going to be the star of the show. Excuse me. If the NWA is building up its new core of roster, and if this roster sticks around for a while, Camille will be a star. Make no doubt about it. Camille will take those next steps once those opportunities are provided from her, based on what she's going to do in the NWA. There's no doubt about it. Dodie says, I'd rather see Aaron and Kratos broken up. Kratos become a monster heel while Aaron returns into his wannabe actor moniker. You know, we on the Alliance Guys podcast, we miss Karate Stevens. We miss the third degree Mongrovian belt. I mean, I kind of wish someone would hit him really hard in the head, and so he can go back to being that version of Stevens. And then Kratos, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with him. I don't know where he slots into the roster, but I mean, you still have a national title. The TV title is still prominent. There are opportunities for these guys. If you're going to have so many championships, let's put the singles wrestlers in those championship divisions. Let's have a delineation, if we will, from the TV title and the national title. And I think you're going to get a more improved matches too. Woodland Goblin says the best tag team champions he's seen in ages, Kratos and Stevens. Amazing performance. Matthew Underwood says, probably so the business relationship between Thunder Rosa and Billy is solid. Woodland Goblin says, that's true, J. Cal. Of course it is. I said it. Jimmy Neilby says, I thought they were going that way, Dodie, but I gotta admit, as much as I wanted that as well, seeing them be funny on the pre-show makes me want to see more. So Jimmy's a big fan of Kratos and Stevens now. Sell out. Lamb is surprised that Aldous retained. Yeah, he used a chair on the referee. So you had that dusty finish. You had that moment where you thought Murdoch was going to win the title until the referee reversed the decision. Or he didn't even reverse it. He just called it what it was, a disqualification. Matthew Underwood said, did anyone else catch the Allison Kay reference in the title match by Joe? I must have missed it. Willie says, Luger never defeated Flair for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Sorry, Willie, you're right. My bad. I slipped. Woodland Goblin liked the pay-per-view. Sean Mega said, Crimson told us, Jay. He was right. He was freaking right. Doty says Aldis and Murdoch will meet in T-Mart in July, and in August, NWA rumored to hold a pay-per-view in St. Louis. Of course, there's no place better for Trevor to win it than at Harley's hometown. I agree, and if that's where they're going with this, that's awesome. I mean, there are a lot of rumors out on the sheets right now, and I don't really want to address them here because I don't know, and I don't want to... Look, I can tell you things that I think are going to happen all the time. I do that every show. But I don't want to give you somebody else's opinions of things that they think are going to happen. That's their place to do that. If the NWA ends up doing a pay-per-view in St. Louis, that's awesome. If it's going to be Murdoch versus Aldis 2, 3, whatever they want to call it, even more awesome. I thought the pay-per-view was great. I feel like with the talent that they have, things are starting to feel like we're turning a corner here. Now, you know, it doesn't really matter if the roster's better. It's still based on the booking. But if this show or this pay-per-view leads us to believe anything with that pre-show, all that stuff, it just feels like we're heading in the right direction. So I'm all about it. Goblin says, right, in the 80s and the 90s, there was a lot of cheating to retain the titles. Willie Bone wants them to bring Ruby Rays and Vipers to Power. Trixelix says, you know they did a good job when you've hated the champion and you're praying for Murdoch to come back and get that second bite. You know, but I already hated the champion, so... I mean, no, I don't hate Nick Aldis. I love Nick Aldis. No, I don't hate him. Man, you guys are... I'm trying to catch up. I don't think I'm going to. Scott Snyder says, what's your favorite NWA World's Heavyweight title change? My favorite World's Heavyweight title change would probably have to be Cody winning the title at All In, just because of the significance. It was the first independent card that drew that kind of an audience, and it had people buzzing about the NWA. I mean, The Rock was tweeting at Cody. So much support for Cody Rhodes in that NWA title reign. I really wish the National Wrestling Alliance and what would become All Elite could have done something more to push that match and those matches. I think it would have been great. Matthew Underwood says Trevor isn't the guy to get the title. They should have kept the national title on him before they dropped it for the series. Aldis will drop it to big name talent like Joe, Danielson, Cody, Kenny, Braun. I don't think that the NWA is going to be able to land Joe or Danielson. I mean, look, I would love for Samoa Joe to walk into St. Louis, Missouri and walk out as world's heavyweight champion. But let's be perfectly honest, there are health concerns. Not to mention that the cost of booking Samoa Joe is going to be high. And I don't know that the return on investment is there. And that's coming from a huge Samoa Joe fan. I would pay to see Samoa Joe. Hell, I might even fly out to see Samoa Joe. But whatever it's going to cost to pay him to be on that show, are you going to draw more tickets than if you did Trevor Murdoch versus Aldis 2? Or if you did Trevor Murdoch versus anybody? You can only sell so many tickets. It's a finite number no matter what. So if you add somebody like Samoa Joe, who I would love, again, I would love that. I just don't think it's going to make sense financially for the NWA to put that kind of money on a guy like Samoa Joe. Now, if he's willing to come and give a hometown discount, well then sure, by all means, but I just don't see it happening. And let's be honest, like, the NWA has, you know, the Pope, it has JTG, it has Fred Rosser, it has Tom Latimer, has Nick Aldis, it has Trevor Murdoch. And I'm not saying that these are the biggest stars in the world of professional wrestling, but they do have a pretty decent core of talent. So I just don't think you're going to see that. Chris Flackett wants to know what they're going to do with the NWA National Title. I mean, until they get a little bit more under their feet, I'm okay with that title remaining vacant. Again, we have about 45 minutes of television 3 weeks a month and a pay-per-view about every 3 months. There's not a lot of time to have a national championship. I think it would be awesome if they did, but they just don't have the time. You still have to showcase the tag titles, the women's championship, the TV title, the world's heavyweight championship, and those people need promos, and those people need matches. So I don't see where having two mid-card titles really benefits anybody. Again, unless they decide to have more television, which is kind of interesting because going back to that pre-show, right, that was the first time that the NWA has used YouTube since the advent of their relationship with FITE. So now we have a bona fide, use of the NWA programming on YouTube, where they featured matches and promos, and this wasn't like edited matches or cut from something else. Like, these were full matches with talent from the NWA, with promos and commentators. Even our good friend Doc Stinson got to premiere as a voice in the booth, which I thought was completely awesome. So, I mean, just doing the numbers on that, the NWA has released a ton of videos since they pulled off the 10 pounds of gold content, and since they've released the NWA Power strictly to FITE. But this was the 44th most viewed video of their last 50. So it hasn't been seen by a lot of people. They have right now 4.7 thousand views, and that number jumped by 400 since earlier this morning. It's the 6th highest rated video on their channel currently. So, I mean, that says something, right? It says that there's still an audience there for the YouTube content, and they just show there's the proof that if they do that pre-show and do it the right way, I mean, that episode of the pre-show, if you just want to call it that, was better than most episodes of Power from last season. It was concise, it was good, it was clean. I think that they should do more shows like this, and maybe this will give them some carte blanche, right, to do more of this. And if it doesn't negate their relationship with FITE, if it doesn't hurt the people over there, oh man, I hope they really do, because I just felt like it was so good. Real quick, guys, we are currently selling a t-shirt to help raise proceeds for the JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. It's the ham sandwich t-shirt you hear us talk a lot about. I'm not wearing mine. I wore it last week, so it's not clean, but I'll probably have it on tomorrow. If you'd like to purchase that shirt, the cost is $20. Proceeds from that go directly to the JDRF walk that will take place in November that my family will be participating in. So again, if you are so inclined, you too can have a ham sandwich t-shirt. Currently the fastest selling t-shirt in all of the NWA, the Alliance, not the NWA. So let's see, more of your comments. Gosh, you guys are so awesome. Lamb says, what is wrong with Twitch today? It's lagging the whole time. I'm not sure. I don't have it set up. I'm in my studio font, so I can't really see what you're looking at. Lamb says, don't lie, Jay. You're the biggest Nick hater. Yeah, and again, I don't hate Nick. I mean, everything that I say is true about him. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. I think he's a great wrestler. I feel like during the pandemic, he got lazy. If we see some more of that old Nick Aldis again, the guy that has no problem going in from territory to territory, from coast to coast, who traveled 4 continents, defended the title in China. If we got that Nick Aldis again, I'd have no problem celebrating him as one of the greats. But the guy who's defended the title a total of 10 times in the last 2 years, just doesn't ring any bells for me. It feels very hollow. Terry says there's a chance Pope will beat Aldis in the future. I would love to see that. Willie Bowen says, what about Slice Boogie and Jordan Clearwater status in NWA Power? Well, I know Boogie's going to be back, and I think Clearwater is too. They just weren't used on the pay-per-view. I still think you'll see them going forward. Doty says he would love to see Samoa Joe or Brian win the 10 pounds of gold, but remember that the NWA's magic is turning someone from who into the next best thing. So if the NWA can't afford him, forget it. Exactly. Adam Pearce was a nobody when he won the title. I shouldn't say nobody. He was big in SoCal. He was big in Chicago, in the Windy City areas, the Midwest. But he wasn't a household name by any stretch. Now, I'm not going to say that he's a household name today either, but his credibility was built hand in hand with that NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And when he went to West Virginia to wrestle the Maestro, or when he went to Virginia to face Damian Wayne, or when he went to the United Kingdom to face Zack Sabre Jr., or when he was wrestling Ricky Mandel in San Diego, or when he faced against Sean Waltman in Yuma, Arizona. I mean, he really did go through everywhere, whether it be Canada, whether it be Australia, whether it be Germany or the UK, Mexico. He went everywhere, and world champions should do that. You know, Brent Albright was from the WWE, but he wasn't a big name. Colt Cabana worked in the WWE, but he wasn't a huge name. Of course, Rob Conway spent a lot of time with the WWE, but it was never their star. He was never the biggest guy there. He certainly wasn't Samoa Joe or AJ Styles or Bryan Danielson or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, the next world heavyweight champion might be somebody like Tom Latimer, right? He's a guy who had a name, but never really reached his full potential. Or Fred Rosser, right? Or even the Pope, or Trevor Murdoch. I mean, I think the next world champion is currently on the roster right now. We just have to get there. Willie Bowen says Samoa Joe or Charlie Haas would give Nick Aldis a great match for the 10 pounds of gold. Absolutely. Heeb says, speaking of YouTube, smart that they put Sky Blue in a thumbnail. She has a multi-matches on YouTube with 5 million plus views from the small indies. And she's easy on the eyes, right? She's going to sell because she's pretty. I mean, let's be honest. That's just how the world works. And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Lamb says they should make Aldis versus Ellsworth. Lamb, you're the best. They should make Aldis versus Ellsworth public again so the video can hit 2 million views. Oh, Lamb. Robert likes Jordan Clearwater. Lamb says, thank you, David Marquez, for holding an event in China so that the NWA could have a title match there. I mean, absolutely. Look, before there was an NWA involvement, that was going to be where they were going to crown the United Wrestling Network World Champion. It was because Billy Corgan got control of the NWA, and at the time there was a very solid relationship between the two Davids and Billy Corgan, that created that environment where Dave was happy to bring the NWA title there. That was one of the dreams that Harley Race had. Harley Race wanted to take the NWA World Heavyweight Championship to Russia and to China, and he never got the opportunity to do either. So Aldis kind of fulfilled part of Harley Race's legacy by defending that title in China, and that's all thanks to Dave Marquez. That had nothing to do with Nick Aldis, because that society, that culture, that area had no idea what the NWA was. That was, they wanted the NWA because they know it had some name recognition, but outside of the one kid with the 10 pounds of gold replica, nobody there knew who the NWA was. There was nobody asking for Ric Flair's autograph in China. I could say this because I was there. They could have easily presented the United Wrestling Network and their World's Heavyweight Championship, and the fans would have been just as happy because they were just seeing good quality entertainment. Period. Craig S. says the NWA has a lot to thank David Marquez and the United Wrestling Network for. Absolutely. Unfortunately, you're not going to ever hear this, but the NWA was given so much by Dave Marquez, and it's to me, as somebody who has been there firsthand, who witnessed all of this stuff firsthand, it's sad that they don't have a relationship at this point. Dave Marquez loves the NWA. Dave Marquez did so much for the NWA before Billy Corgan was involved with wrestling. Dave Marquez's relationship with the National Wrestling Alliance goes back to 2004. Actually, even before then. We did an interview with Dave. You guys should check it out sometime on the YouTube channel, where he talks about his history with the NWA and New Japan Pro Wrestling, being the proxy vote for Antonio Inoki and his membership at the NWA, getting the NWA membership in California, being able to promote events for the NWA all up and down the Southwest, using that NWA name to get into the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, to get into certain places. It didn't happen without Dave Marquez. Today is actually this. I guess 13 years ago today, the 60th anniversary happened at the Phillips Arena in Atlanta, Georgia, where Dave Marquez brought the NWA back to Atlanta, some 13 years, or I guess 12 years before the Billy Corgan did. And they had, Psycho Sid on the card, and they had, Los Luchas defending the tag titles against Carl the Machine Gun Anderson and Joey Ryan. And they had on that card Rob Conway, and they had on that card Blue Demon Jr., and they had on that card Aaron Stevens. So it's wild to think about what Marquez did so much for the NWA, and for them to just kind of that relationship to fizzle out. It's disappointing to say the least. Doty said, I didn't expect David to work with the NWA again, but Dave needs justice. NWA or Aldous should apologize and reconcile with Dave. They don't need to work again, but at least an amicable departure. I think that ship's already sailed. I don't think that's going to happen. Chris, I don't want to discuss who said what, because some things that I probably shouldn't have heard, I have, and I probably don't want to get involved with that. Willie says the NWA Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship traveled and wrestled around the world, unlike the WWE so-called World Championship, only wrestlers within their crappy promotion. That's true. Doty says the broke relationship with Dave Marquez in a bad term is a very, very, very big mistake. Look, the NWA needs to do what the NWA needs to do. Life goes on. And Nick Aldis and Billy Corgan and Pat Kenny, and This Is Pro Wrestling, and Bill Behrens, and all these guys, I mean, look, they're going to push the NWA going forward. Joe Galley, that's a Dave Marquez guy. Billy Trash came from the Dave Marquez camp of professional wrestling. Jordan Clearwater, Slice Boogie, all of them got their starts at NWA Pro Wrestling. Billy Corgan and the NWA will do what's best for Billy Corgan and the NWA. Dave Marquez will continue to do what's best for the United Wrestling Network and Dave Marquez. That split should have been amicable. They should still be on a working basis, but it's just not going to happen. And who hurts the most from that really is the NWA. Because, when there was nothing for the NWA, there was always, when Power wasn't able to be produced, there was Primetime Live. Before there was a Power, there was Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. There was always a place for the NWA to be showcased, and now they shot that in the foot. It ain't going to happen anymore. So, Robert Bennett says, I'm looking forward to the return of Primetime Live and hope to see Chris Dickinson and Mike Bennett for the United Wrestling Network Championship. Same here. Same. Terry McDermott says, it'll be great to see the Burke back on Power. Yes, I just wish that we could have saw it in both AEW and on Power at the same time. Chris Flackett says, United Wrestling Network seems to be building up momentum at the moment. Marquez seems to be doing well without the NWA at the moment anyway. Yeah, I mean, look, long before Dave Marquez partnered with Billy Corgan, there was talks to be in Atlanta. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but that building that they were shooting out of, the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios, it's no secret that Lou Seals is the man responsible for finding that building, and that was originally supposed to be for Championship Wrestling for Atlanta. That was the plan, long before there was a goal of putting Power there. When Dave had this opportunity and was working with Billy Corgan, and there was a lot of pleasantries going on, he offered that spot for them because, of course, the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or United Wrestling Network wasn't there yet. So, of course, NWA took that opportunity and ran with it, as they should. But, I mean, that was the end. That was because of Dave Marquez. Okay, so let's get more to the show with the next, 10 minutes we have left. So tonight's show, we're going to get a celebration, if you will. We're going to celebrate Camille. Again, your women's world champion. I do believe that there's going to be some celebration, maybe a little bit of the bubbly for Camille, as she joins the list of names like Jazz and Allison Kay, Thunder Rosa, and of course Serena Deeb, who paved the road to make women's wrestling relevant in the National Wrestling Alliance, to make it relevant in the Lightning One era. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with Camille tonight, but I'm more kind of interested to see what's going to happen with Strictly Business. Now, Aldis was predicting a sweep. He was predicting that Strictly Business, Adonis and Latimer would be the next tag team champions. That didn't happen. Is there going to be repercussions for this? Are we going to see that realignment of Strictly Business? I mean, of course, Aldis and Camille are still, they're golden. But what about Latimer? What about Adonis? We'll see what happens there. And then getting back to La Rebelión, they were more commonly known in Mexico as La Rebelión Amarilla. And that group actually included more than just Mecha Wolf and Bestia 66. It was a stable that also include Impact's Black Taurus, Rey Horus, which is the nephew of Rey Mysterio, Black Danger, Ultimo Ninja, Garza Jr., and incidentally enough, Hawk Ari's Luke Hawk. The group was founded in 2017, but the tag team itself gained a ton of notoriety over the last few years. These guys, being Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf, have literally defended or wrestled all over the world. The UK, Mexico, of course, but Los Angeles, Washington, Texas, New Orleans, Georgia, even Ireland. So, I mean, these guys are world travelers. It should be noted that Bestia 666 is the son of Luchador Damien 666, who you guys might remember from AAA. Also as part of the inaugural class of the WCW Cruiserweight division when they started bringing in a ton of luchadors. He was one of them. And then Mecha Wolf is a former WWC Universal Champion and a WWL World Heavyweight Champion, meaning he's held two of the biggest single titles in Puerto Rico, meaning he's pretty bad dude too. So putting both of those guys together with the experiences they have, the NWA really did get a good tag team. And as I believe Sean Mega said earlier, they are signed to AAA. I just haven't seen any matches for them as of yet. Next, we have the TV championship bout between Luke Hawk and the Pope. Man, woo! If this isn't the best TV title match, I'm going to eat my hat next week. Known as the Southern Stomper, Luke Hawk broke into the business with the NWA, wrestled, literally was feuding with Sal Ronaro over the Wildside Junior Heavyweight Championship when he was about the same age as his son, PJ, and he broke his teeth, not his teeth, but broke into the business there, but then got opportunities in the extreme environment, wrestling death matches for XPW. In fact, even won the XPW King of Deathmatch title, a title that was held mostly by Supreme, but Luke Hawk was one of the first guys to hold that championship belt other than Supreme. And so that was pretty crazy. He went from Ultra Boy Luke to like King of the Deathmatch Luke in such a short amount of time. From there, he was able to parlay his wrestling abilities into stunt work, where he started working in Hollywood and films and stuff. But on the side, he was working Wrestling Society X, which was MTV's short-lived shot at pro wrestling that didn't do so hot. But he continued to work for NWA promoters. I mean, he was working for Dave Marquez. Then shortly after the ownership change, he started working for the promoters down in Texas who were associated with the NWA Houston, Texas Stampede. Later, he would actually start Wildcat Wrestling, which was affiliated with the National Wrestling Alliance, and he was a part of Ring Warriors. And when Ring Warriors came back a few years ago, he was also part of that show. In fact, I remember him wrestling a great match with Chris Bay, where he just absolutely destroyed Chris Bay. Also had some great matches with Jeff Cobb at that Ring Warriors show. So when I say Luke Hawk is legit, he's legit. He's the dude. I really think he's going to be great in this match against the Pope. Nothing more. I don't have anything more positive to say about Elijah Burke. The guy literally got a decent match out of Tyrus. If you can do that, I mean, you deserve all the acclaim in the world. But I mean, he's had some great matches against Fred Rosser, Matt Cross. I mean, he certainly has put in the work, and more so than probably any NWA champion right now currently. He's just the guy. He can cut the promo. He can sell me on a match. He can wrestle in the ring. He's got the look. I mean, this guy is money. Absolute money, and I can't wait to see this match tonight. Now, we know there's going to be other things. We'll probably see some new faces. There's rumors that we're going to hear some breaking news that some other dirt sheet sites have probably already reported. But all in all, I think tonight's new season, Season 5, Episode 30 of Power, I think we're on to something new. And I'm excited, guys. And I really feel you should be excited, too. As I see some of your comments before we go here, Marquez's United Wrestling Network production team are still working with the New Japan Pro Wrestling USA. Yes, they are, Craig. You're absolutely right. Lamb says, and with a lesser budget but good local talents, that's how you build stars and help the territory grow. Oh, yeah, you guys are talking about Hollywood, United Wrestling Network. I mean, and yeah, Atlanta. He even said St. Louis, Texas. Upstate New York was once considered. There's a lot of stuff going on. Lamb says, isn't Taryn facing Lady Frost? I didn't see those notes. I was looking for them, but if that got released, that would be a fun match. I don't know a whole lot about Lady Frost, but what I've seen is she's very deliberate in the ring, and Taryn has been fun. I like Taryn Terrell. I think she's fun for the NWA. I don't want to put the title on her. I don't think she should be in serious matches. She's fun, and I'm okay with that. Dodie says he loved the NWA Wildcat web show back in the day, and now he loves Luke Hawk, that he's back in the NWA. I do too. I think it's going to be good. PJ certainly has a bright future ahead of him. His fundamentals are solid. He's an actual wrestling state champion, and I feel like with that being his pops, the sky's the limit. But guys, we're we're about 10 minutes away from NWA POWERRR. So I do hope you enjoyed the pre-party with your boy Jay. If you want to help support the podcast, of course, the best way to do it is give us a thumbs up. Like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. We also have an audio podcast that you can find on Spotify, Amazon, Apple. That's at The Alliance Blog. We're on all social medias at The Alliance Blog. I'm trying to make it very simple. Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us all over the place. I think it's very easy to get a hold of me. Plus, we have a Discord server, but if you want involved with that, you're gonna have to send me a DM. Slide in those DMs. If you wanna financially support this podcast, hey, we're okay with that too. You can get one of these dope hats right here, or one of these dope T-shirts right here. If I can figure out where my camera works. Anyways, guys, what I'm saying is, the support that you guys show us every Tuesday, every Thursday, and by visiting the website are much appreciated. And that's all I've ever asked from you guys. I do appreciate you checking us out week in and week out. I hope you're pumped up as much as I am for POWERRR. And I guess that's going to do it for this week. So until next time, all my friends, we'll see you next week at the matches. Good night.